Gobble, 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 it's turkey time. And you know what that means? A Thanksgiving-themed programming project, of course. So in this project, we have a turkey without feathers, and it's got to gather as many feathers as it can within a minute. There are two major concepts we're going to concentrate on in this project. Number one, cloning, and number two, random number generating. Every computer language has a random number generator, and in this project, we're going to use scratches. So before we begin, you got to get yourself set up. I've included in the description below a link to two sprites that you could download and then upload, the turkey sprite and the feathers. As an alternative, you can simply click on the project that I have down below and remix it, and that project will only have those two sprites. And then we'll all be on the same page and we can program together. So here's the game we're about to create. Click the green flag to begin. I have a turkey at the bottom. I'm controlling with my left and right arrows. Upper left hand corner, I have a score. It gets initiated to 0. Every time I hit a feather, I'll get a point. 1 point. Upper right hand corner is a timer. It started at 60 and will count down to 0, at which point the game will end. And the game will end in 4, 3. And we end with a game over sign. Feathers and turkey are gone. It's a simple game, so let's get it done. Okay, I've uploaded the turkey and the feather sprites to my project. I don't need the cat, so I'm going to right-click delete. And I'm going to name my program Turkey Feathers. You could name yours what you want. And of course, you can change it at any time. Alright, so you should be here too. And we're going to break the project down into 4 sections. First, we're going to create our data structures or our variables. We're going to program the turkey, then program the feathers where a majority of the work is going to be done. And then we're going to create the stages and wrap it all up and make it into a game. Okay, so as you saw, we had 2 variables we need to create, the score and the time, to keep the time, to make it a game. And we create variables under data. Variables are program specific. They're created by the programmer while programming, and they're specific to individual programs. And generally speaking, they vary in value. Get it? Variable, vary. So click on make a variable, and our first variable is going to be score. I'm going to use an uppercase S-C-O-R-E because the user will see it, so I want it to look good. And our second variable, make a variable, is going to be time left. And time left will start or initiate at 60 and be decremented by 1 or decreased by 1 every second until it gets to the game over. Now, because I want it to look a certain way, I'm going to move my time to the right here. So I have my score to the left and time to the right. Now let's program the turkey. So if you remember in prior videos, the game board is an XY coordinate grid. As we go left and right, we are changing our X value. So that's how we're going to move the turkey. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the turkey and put him in place with his feet on the bottom edge. Now we're going to start the turkey with a flag click. So under events, go to flag click. And at the end of the game, when the game's over, the turkey will be hidden. So that means every time we start the game, we need to show him again. So we're going to go to looks, and the first thing we're going to do is show the turkey. Now the whole time the game is running, we want the turkey to be able to go left and right depending on which arrow key is pressed. So if we want something to happen the whole game, we go to Control and use a forever loop. Now there's two things we want the turkey to react to, two events, a right click and a left click. And those are conditional statements. So we want to use an if statement. And we need two of them. If statements can be nested inside one another, and they can be stacked. In this particular case, we want two stacked if statements. And we want to put them in the forever loop. So the two conditions we're concerned about is the left and right arrow. And we get the key press block under sensing. About halfway down we see key space. But on the drop down you see we can pick any key on the keyboard. And we need to put one in each condition. Now once again we don't care about space, but we do care about, in the first one, the right click, and in the second one, the left click. Now what do we want to happen when these keys are pressed? We want the X value to change. So in order to make our turkey move to the left, we want to decrease X. And in order to make it move to the right, we want to increase X. We're talking about moving the turkey, so we go to motion. Down right here towards the bottom, we see the XY blocks. We want to change the value, not set, and we're concerned with X right now. So we get change X. Now the number of steps we use will determine the speed at which the turkey moves. We'll use 10 now, and that could be adjusted later if necessary. So once again, to move right, we want to increase by 10, and to move left, we want to decrease by 10. So I'm going to do minus 10. Now at some point the game is going to end, and at that point we're going to broadcast a message saying done, and we want the turkey to disappear at this point. So under events you'll see a hat that says when I receive message 1. Well, we're going to, on that drop down, make a new message, and that new message is going to be done, D-O-N-E. And all we want the turkey to do when the game is over is hide. So we're going to go and get hide. So we program our turkey. We need to make sure it works. So click the flag. I'll go left, right. Okay, turkey is working. Stop the program. Now let's program the feather. So I click on feather. I know I'm on the feather because I got the blue ring around the feathers, and my script board is empty. We didn't lose the scripts. The turkey scripts go with the turkey, and we haven't created any feather scripts yet. So the feather is where all the work's going to be done. So we're going to use the clone command here. We're going to constantly create clones of feathers and have them drop from the sky. So let's create the script that does that. We're going to start with a flag click event. And we're not going to want to see the actual feather. We're only going to want to see clones of the feather. So under looks, we're going to hide the actual sprite. Right? We're only going to see the clones of the sprite, not the sprite itself. And then forever, throughout the whole game, we want to constantly create clones. So under control, grab your forever loop, and down towards the bottom, we're going to create a clone of the feather, or a clone of itself. Now, we don't want to create 1,000,000 clones, so we got to slow it down a little bit, and we're going to use a wait command. Rather than have the feathers come down at a regular rate of 1 every 1 second or so, let's make it more random and less predictable. And under operators, we're going to get a random number generator, or the fourth block called pick random. And we're going to say, all right, drop a feather every, let's say, 0.5, half a second to 3 seconds. So every up to 3 seconds, we're going to create another feather. So what's going to happen when the feathers are created? So to do that, let's go to control, and down towards the bottom it says when I start as a clone. So now we're going to program what happens to each individual clone. So the first thing we want to do is place it, and we want it at the very top. And we know that the Y is 180. So let's go to motion and get the go to block. Now we want it definitely on the top. So we want the Y definitely to be 180. But we don't care where along the top. As a matter of fact, we would like it to randomly be placed along the top. So we know all the way to the left is a negative 240x, and all the way to the right is a positive 240x. So here we're going to use our random picker block again. So under operators, grab random picker and stick that in the x value. But not between 1 and 10, between negative 240 and positive 240. So we've placed our feather where we want it. Now we need to make it look the way we want it to look. So go to looks, and here's where we're going to randomly choose a costume. So we're going to switch to costume, but once again, we're not going to tell it which costume to pick. If you look at the feather costumes, you can see that there are 5 different costumes, numbered 1 through 5. And once again, we're going to use our random picker under operators, and we're going to switch to costume between 1 and 5. So we have it where we want it, looking the way we want it to look. So now we can show it. Now, just like we changed X to get the turkey to move, now we're going to change Y to get the feather to move. So our feather is going to start at the top, and it's going to go all the way down to the bottom. And once it hits the bottom, we want it to disappear. So we're going to use, under control, a repeat until. Just like an if statement, repeat until needs a condition, and it's going to keep doing it until this condition is met. Now we want the feather to fall until it gets to the bottom, and we know when it's at the bottom, its Y value will be negative 180. So we're going to have it just keep going down until it gets to negative 180. So under operators, let's go get a less than block. Right under the pick random is less than. And we want this feather under motion to keep going down until its Y value is less than negative 180 at the bottom. And what do we want it to keep doing until it gets down there? We want its Y value to lessen, so it slowly goes down from top to bottom. So we're going to change the Y. And once again, we're going to use a random picker to vary the speed and make it a little more unpredictable. And we're going to change our speed between negative 4 and negative 6. Now remember, these values are not fixed. Once you create your game, you can adjust them to whatever makes sense. So here we have our clone. The feather is going to get cloned. It's going to start at the top, go down to the bottom. When it gets to the bottom, what do we want it to do? Go away. So let's go under control and say delete this clone. So the feather is going to come, start at the top, go down to the bottom, and then go away. And we could test that to make sure that happens. Okay, and it does. Now, what are we missing? Well, what if the turkey happens to catch a feather? Well, what do we want to happen? We want 3 things to happen if, in fact, the turkey catches a feather. We want the turkey to gobble with joy. We want to add a point to our score. And then we want the feather to go away. So let's do those 3 things. But when do we want these things to happen? If the feather hits the turkey. So let's get an if block. Now we want the if block right under the change. Now watch what happens. I drag it. I'm looking for the white line. No, not there. Right there. I'll let go. If what happens? If the clone hits the turkey. So let's go to sensing. Top block is touching command. So let's use that. But not touching the mouse pointer. If the clone of the feather touches the turkey, three things. Under sound, we want to play the gobble. We want to increase our score by 1, so go to data. We want to change, not time left, but score by 1. And then we want to delete the clone. So once again, under control, we want to delete the clone, put it inside the if block. All right, so now we have our clone programmed. The last thing we want to do is, once again, when the game is over, we want the feathers to disappear. So just like with the turkey, when it receives done, we want to make sure it's hidden, which it should be because it never really was shown. Okay, the fourth section of this project is the stage, and we're going to wrap it all up. Okay, so click on stage. Let's go to backdrops. You see we have that white backdrop, but this is the backdrop I'm going to use for my game over. So I'm going to make mine simple. You can make yours as elaborate as you want. I'm going to use the text tool and just simply type in game over. We'll make it bigger and center it. Remember, you have one shot at this. If you blow it and it's not the way you want it, you could just clear, start over, or undo. Game over. Now I'm going to get my game backdrop. I saw that there was a hayfield in the library, so that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to go to the new backdrop, click on the library, under outdoors, under H, hayfield, click OK, and now let's create the final scripts. Go to scripts. This is going to start once again with a flag click. Once the flag is clicked and the game begins, I want to put the proper backdrop. So we're going to go to looks and we're going to switch to the hayfield. We need to initiate or start our variables where we want them started. So the first thing we're going to do is under data is we're going to set time left to 60 because there's 60 seconds in the game. And we're going to set the score to 0 because there is no score at the beginning of the game. So the time left is going to be decreased by 1 second every second. So that's 60 times. So we need to repeat something 60 times. That means we must use a repeat loop under control. Like I said, 60 seconds, so not 10 seconds. We're going to repeat 60 seconds. And what are we going to do 60 seconds? Under data, we're going to change the time left by -1. But we want to wait every second before we do that. So under control, we're going to wait 1 second and then reduce it by -1. And we're going to do this 60 times. Once the 60 times is up, there's 3 things we want to do. We need to tell everybody the game's over. We want to switch to the game over backdrop, and we want to stop everything. So we tell all the other scripts that the game's over using a broadcast event. So under broadcast, second from the bottom, we're going to broadcast done. We want to go to the game over backdrop, so we're going to click looks, and we're going to switch to backdrop 1, which is our game over backdrop. And then we're going to go over to control and we're going to stop everything. And our game should work. Let's test the program and make sure it does. All right, looks like the program works. I'm sure yours does as well. Very good. Congratulations, guys. Well done. Stay tuned for a video coming up on how to enhance this game and make it even better. And remember, like what you like, subscribe if you haven't, and have a great Thanksgiving if you celebrate. And we'll see you next time.